Hello everyone, and welcome to YouTube Small Biz Day. I'm your host, Cassey Ho, YouTube creator and founder and CEO of Blogilates. Today, we're excited to bring together a group of people who've used YouTube to overcome unique challenges amidst the pandemic, in business, and in their personal lives. Please welcome MCC Theater, an off-Broadway theater company in New York City celebrated for provoking meaningful conversations through productions and education programs. CurlMix, a clean beauty brand that rejects complicated beauty routines and instead embraces simple beauty rituals that instill confidence. And Molly Burke, a YouTube creator who has used her platform to destigmatize disabilities and advocate rights for all. Please welcome the MCC Theater team, Executive Director Blake West and Marketing Manager Molly Barson, CurlMix CEO Kim Lewis, and YouTube creator Molly Burke. Hey everyone!
Hey Cassey.
Hi, it's so good to see all of you guys.
You too. Great to be here.
Thanks.
All right, so let's get right into it. Kim, we are so excited to have you here today. How did YouTube inspire you to build a business around embracing your natural hair?
You know, that's such a good question because YouTube is actually my partner hand in hand for actually embracing my natural hair. Like I went natural because of all the YouTubers I was seeing doing their hair, like doing the big chops, cutting their relaxed hair off. And so some people might be like, what is going natural? Many Black women, a women of color, we were straightening our hair chemically for decades, mostly to fit in at work or to not get a million questions about your hair or for people to touch it when you don't want to. And so, many of us straightened our hair to conform. And we used relaxers, which are chemical treatments, to straighten the hair for years. And in 2008, right around the recession, people weren't able to go to the stylist or their shop. And so they had to kind of figure out how to do their natural hair. But when your natural hair grows out and then you have chemically straightened hair, half of it's chemically straightened, and the other half is natural, it looks kind of odd, right? We call it the transitioning phase. And so many people were literally cutting all their hair off, starting from scratch and going natural and recording that journey on YouTube. And so for many people who had never seen their natural hair like me, I think I had maybe natural hair as a kid for maybe 3 years. Then I got a relaxer for like the next 15. So I didn't even know what my hair looked like as an adult growing out of my own head, which is crazy because I feel like that's something only Black women might ever say. I don't know if anyone else would ever say that. And so YouTube, a lot of people were recording this journey on YouTube and sharing what it was like and what products they were using and how they were figuring it out. And it created a whole like natural hair community that we all embraced and really produced some really popular influencers as well. But it also changed the movement of hair care or Black hair care specifically. And that was like the genesis of my journey. And then years later, I went on to start a natural hair care company that focused on the wash and go, which is the style that I have right now, and simple beauty rituals. So YouTube was at the very beginning.
All right, welcome Blake and Molly. So during the pandemic, how was MCC Theater challenged to pivot?
When the shutdown happened and the onslaught of the pandemic, we were not going to be able to do the thing that we are here to do. That much was clear. And we were 3 weeks away from our fundraising gala, our annual fundraising gala, which is responsible for a significant amount of that contributed income. So we had to pivot. Fortunately, this gala, which is called Miscast, has a big following, and we had developed a following for it on YouTube prior to the pandemic, over several years prior to the pandemic. We saw this as a place for us to move this gala, potentially. And we had to figure out how to make a virtual gala, but we knew that we could do something on YouTube, and we had built this large community. And that's one piece of our pivot. I think Molly could share a little bit about the size of that community. And but what I wanted to say on the front end of that is while we were preparing to move the gala to the virtual space and onto YouTube, We immediately leaned into the idea of pulling together star-driven readings that we could do on YouTube. And one of the first things that we did before we actually executed the virtual gala was a reading of a play called Beirut with Marissa Tomei and Oscar Isaac, two actors who have name recognition and a relationship with MCC. So there was this organic nature of that. But we really leaned into developing, not only serving, but developing our existing YouTube community.
Yeah, and we started out at the beginning of the pandemic. We had about 70,000 YouTube subscribers, which is pretty respectable for a small theater in New York. And it became this space where we could actually talk to those people. And through the virtual readings, starting with Beirut, the chat box on YouTube became the lobby, the people you talk to at intermission, the moment for community that we were so missing from that theatrical experience. And throughout the pandemic, that audience has grown over 25,000 new subscribers through the readings, through Miscast, through just this ability to gather people online.
Well, I'm so glad you were able to be flexible and really leaned into the new environment and situation that you had to deal with. Molly, Burke, hello. You were one of YouTube's first creators to openly discuss having a disability, in your case, blindness. How have you used your channel as a platform to debunk the stigmas that surround people with disabilities?
You know, I really feel like my channel is a place for everybody. As a disabled woman, my diversity comes in the form of disability, but really everybody, no matter who you are, we're all unique and we all have something to learn to love about ourselves, whether that's your height, your weight, your skin tone, your freckles, your hair color, your hair texture, whatever it might be. We all have that thing to learn to accept and embrace about ourselves. And that's really what I want my channel to be about, is of course educating on my circumstance as a blind woman with a guide dog, but to really create a safe space for everybody to feel like they belong and for everybody to learn to embrace who they are and use what might be seen as their challenge to their strength.
Kim, you once said that YouTube gives us the chance to share our message with so many more people. So how have you used YouTube's capabilities to connect with your YouTube community?
You know, I like to think of YouTube as search, right? So I like to think of marketing as a funnel. At the top of the funnel, you have your search platforms like YouTube and Google. And then as you get down the funnel, you have more purchase actions like email and SMS, right? But you have to get people into the funnel. And the way that you get them into the funnel without having to pay for every, customer that sees your product is through content marketing. And YouTube is built for content marketing, specifically search. And so doing videos on YouTube are going to get people in that funnel so they can eventually get to know you as a brand and eventually purchase. So YouTube is very important for reaching new audiences for us, and reaching new audiences lowers our customer acquisition cost. And so it's very important for me that we continue to put resources into our YouTube channel. So what does that mean for me as a business? That means I might hire someone to produce videos to post weekly, right? It also might mean that I'm not just doing advertorial content where I'm just selling my product. We might be doing videos that are entertainment focused, and it's purely just, Mythbusters or things like that. It's not just about, hey, see how this flaxseed gel works. And actually, we're going to put more resources into YouTube over the next year, adding, more production crew to our team so that we can create better content so that we can reach new audiences. So YouTube's very, very important that it's the top of the funnel. So the first thing that we're doing.
So I'm curious, what are some of the types of content that you're making for YouTube that's really resonating or driving sales for you? Like, what's working?
The first thing we've actually had our first super successful video in the last few weeks. Normally we only get a couple thousand views. This video got almost at 300,000 views in the last couple weeks, and that's a big deal for us.
Right.
And we have 30,000 subscribers. Thank you. And it's actually called 3 Natural Hair Myths You Need to Stop Believing. And I thought we had to have some crazy big production to get like 300,000 views on a video. And we didn't. We really had just one person there sitting there talking, but what she's doing is she's telling stories, she's entertaining you, she's educating you and giving you new information. And then the comments are like fire. So people are either they agree with her or they don't, and they have their opinion about it. And so it's like it's on the first, if you search natural hair myths, it's like at the first result on YouTube. And so I was like, oh my gosh, okay, so now I'm kind of like experiencing success, but we've been doing this for over a year now, posting weekly. And now we're kind of seeing like an uptick. So, and that video also brought in double the revenue that we normally get from other YouTube videos month over month. So after seeing that, I'm like, we're definitely gonna put more resources into YouTube for sure.
That's really cool. I feel like the YouTube audience really loves a good myth debunking video in every vertical.
Yeah.
Molly, what are your thoughts in this area about capabilities to connect with your YouTube community? Because I know you have such a strong connection with your audience.
Yeah, I've been really loving over this last year seeing more people strip down the walls and sharing vulnerability and authenticity with their audience at a new level. And that's kind of always how I approached my content. I was a full-time motivational speaker when I started my YouTube channel, and I spoke very openly and very publicly about bullying, mental illness, disability, representation, equality. And so for me, it was just natural to always do that on my YouTube channel. And I think that's been the best way to connect with them is to just be somebody that feels like a friend, that feels like I could be their sister, their daughter. And that allows people to really connect when they see that they could go have coffee with you. That you could be somebody they care about and interact with in real life. And so they develop that care and that love for you through a screen. And it's a really amazing feeling.
Wow. Well, you're doing an incredible job. And I do feel like I really know who the real Molly Burke is when I'm watching her videos. Your personality just shines through. Okay, guys. So in the face of business challenges, how has YouTube helped you address those issues? So Blake and Molly, like, how do you use YouTube during the pandemic?
Well, Molly Burke just referenced the breaking down of barriers, which really has been a significant part of our YouTube experience and journey during the pandemic. But among the challenges, as I had said, the thing that we do as theater makers is to gather people together and to give them an experience. And so we really had no, as I said earlier, product if we weren't able to get you here. So we had to do some reinvention around that. And then the challenges were, I think early on, we had a lot of discussions before we started making content and original content, as well as bringing actors together to do readings of plays we had previously produced. We had to really think about, are we charging for something? Normally, we have a ticket price to come into our building. Are we charging for this, or are we making it available for free? If we make it available for free, what are there limitations around what we're putting together? How long is somebody going to sit in front of a screen and watch a play? So we really started asking a lot of significant questions about what do we normally deliver to our audience? How is the audience going to be different through this medium? What are they willing to engage with? And then recognizing while we were doing it, we weren't the only theater company that was starting to create virtual content or to deliver content in this manner. So we addressed some of those issues about the level at which we could produce, certain things we charged for, certain things we didn't. As we moved forward, certain things we asked, donations. But what we did is we also really broke down barriers, which addressed the other issue of in a given theater season when we're producing multiple shows, we're seeing audiences and we're building audience members, and our immediate results that we started also playing around with how do we respond to this was seeing people from all over the world coming to our virtual space. And then all right, how do we deliver something that they would want to come back to so that this is not a one-off? So a lot of our business questions were rooted in kind of a reinvention of building an audience, which then leads to other, questions down the road, which I'm sure we can talk about before we finish our conversation in the panel. Did you want to add something to this from your perspective?
Yeah, to Blake's point of just the expanding audiences and the accessibility, I think really early on, the first reading series we did after the reading of Beirut was a free reading series called Live Labs, where every Wednesday for 2 months, I think, we just had a free half-hour-long reading up on YouTube. So you knew in that MCC community, you showed up on our channel on a Wednesday at 5:30, there was going to be a reading of a play with some really, really talented actors and bringing that, community together. And over the course of the pandemic, we've reached people in all 50 states and in 47 countries, and 80% of people who came and saw an MCC virtual event have never walked through the doors of MCC. And I think that's just amazing to reach that new community and to create specifically for them. I think about one of the earlier readings that we did was the entire thing took place progressing through time in a diner. And that's really easy to do on screen. It's 4 people, one singular place, you bring in a cup, a bowl, it's suddenly you're there, you're with them, and creating content like that for this kind of global and new community was so exciting and rewarding.
And YouTube, by doing this through our YouTube channel, we really had an opportunity to keep actors and artists working, which was also really important. I mean, they're hit really hard through the pandemic, and that was a part of our consideration. How do you keep that community creating so that there is a thriving creative community when we come out of this? And so that was an aspect of it. And then when Molly mentioned the Live Lab series, one of the things that we learned pretty early and leaned into, as I said, our mission is to provoke conversation. We had made an assessment that audiences would be really content to show up for a shorter play. And then we can add on, as part of the programming, a dialogue, not only in the chat box, but a talk back. And so you could watch the play, which was half an hour, a play written for this purpose. And if you only wanted the play, you could leave. And if you wanted to stick around and have a conversation, then that would be another half an hour. Your investment was an hour, and people had a really satisfying hour-long experience. And then we were in the chat box, and what we were learning was how to build on that one for the next one, so we could deliver a more robust, really engaged. And then this goes back to something Molly Burke had mentioned, that we were breaking down barriers. We were discovering that we had a whole community of people who would never have engaged in something like what we do in our space.
No, I was going to say, you mentioned breaking down barriers, and we used our YouTube channel to kind of address the Black Lives Matter movement during the pandemic that happened at the height of George Floyd. As a brand, originally I thought, well, I'm Black, so I don't have to address this clearly, where, where I stand. But I still did need to, because our customers had questions they wanted to know. And when people go back and look down your timeline, they're going to want to know, okay, what did you think about this in this moment in time in history? And I think YouTube was a great platform to share that on, because it lives longer. People are going to be able to scroll through your platform and say, hey, what were you doing? And what were you thinking? What were you saying? And so my husband and I, we both did a video. We did a few, mental health videos as well to address that, because my community is largely Black. So we're going through mental health things in addition to what the news is saying and all these other things. And so YouTube was a great platform to break down that barrier of talking politically, essentially, right? Depending on how you classify it. Some people say this is not political at all. It's just human rights. YouTube was a great platform for that.
In the wake of the murder of George Floyd, as theater makers, if we wanted to put content on stage that is responsive to something that is actually happening in the moment, that isn't something you could immediately do. You could host a conversation in your theater, but to put up a new production is a pretty significant undertaking. And in the virtual space, we were able to program, more responsively. and not even just have a conversation, but to have an actual piece of work that you can put up that is in the moment, that is dealing with what's actually happening in the moment, that you don't always have the opportunity to do in the live space. So there was so much exciting territory for us to be in conversation with not only people, but with what's happening actually as it's unfolding, with new art, with new work, with new artists who have something to say about not something that had happened when they wrote the piece and here you're watching it a year and a half later, but something that is actually happening now. And that was really exciting to be able to do, and to bring to people, and just to know that we had a role in, amplifying and engaging with something that was that significant and important.
Right now, we're in a climate, a time, and a space where it's important for the customers to understand where the values of a business lies and where the owner's values lie too, because it's so integrated. These aren't just faceless businesses anymore. It's people running companies that can have a huge impact. So I'm grateful for any social media influencer, any business owner, or just anyone who shared their thoughts on how they felt. All right, we're going to move on to the next section. So Molly, how do you approach breaking stigmas on your channel?
I think the reality is that a lot of the stereotypes and misconceptions that exist around blindness and disability in general come from a lack of representation historically in mainstream media. And for me, growing up, I dreamed of being an actress. That was what I wanted to do with my life. And I didn't see myself anywhere. And the few blind characters you would see didn't seem like me at all. I didn't connect to them at all because they portrayed all of these stereotypes that were actually negatively affecting me in my everyday life. For example, you're always seeing blind people portrayed as wearing dark sunglasses. Well, I almost never wear dark sunglasses unless it's super sunny out. And so I was constantly facing as a blind person, well, why don't you wear dark sunglasses? You don't seem blind. Wearing dark sunglasses doesn't make me blind. Having eyes that don't work makes me blind. And so it was always having these able-bodied writers write these blind characters and then hiring able-bodied actors to play the blind characters that was causing so much harm to me as a real-life blind person in my day-to-day life. And so I really thought, well, if I don't see me, I should just become me. I can just share my own experience, because the representation of the blind is maybe true for some people, right? Like, that is accurate for some people. There are some blind people who do wear dark sunglasses all the time. But that was the only version of blindness we were seeing. We weren't seeing all the other colorful aspects and unique facets of the blind community. And so really, I break stigma just by being my authentic self. I'm not here to represent a whole community. I can't bear that weight. I'm here to honestly and authentically represent my life experience as one singular disabled woman who uses a service dog, and educate as much as I can on what that experience is like.
Kim, how about you?
There's so many stigmas around Black women and their hair. It's always a topic of conversation. I think even there was a magazine back when President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama were in office, and they kind of put a really derogatory picture of her on the cover of a magazine, and they also added an afro, because wearing your hair in its natural state for a Black woman is militant, or it's making a statement. And it just really sucks, because it's this is just the way my hair grows. I'm not trying to be a revolutionary. I'm trying to learn to love myself. But everyone wants me to conform. Everyone wants my hair to be straight. Everyone wants me to look like them, and I just don't naturally. And so in work, a lot of places, they're expecting you to straighten your hair, and people are just, saying mean things or ignorant things, and just because your hair grows upward and outward instead of downward. And so on our channel, we really try to get people to embrace their natural hair the way that it is. And that's what a wash and go is. A wash and go, it has a little bit of gel in it, but you use a little bit of gel to kind of define your curl. But essentially, you're wearing your hair the way it grows. You're not manipulating it to look a certain way. And so we really try to help people, love themselves and the way they're born, even though society tells them to fix it or to change it or to be something different.
Oh my gosh, I'm finding so many parallels between what both of you guys are saying and the fitness community, because I feel like there's this image that you're supposed to have a six-pack and a small waist and a bubble butt to be the image of health. But that's not true, because you can look however you want to look, and health is really individualized. And it's just crazy how people will come to my channel, for example, be like, oh, Cassey, you have such a flat butt, or like, why don't you have a six-pack? Like, you must not even know what you're doing. And it's just like the physical is not 100% reflective of the internal. So I'm really glad we're having this conversation, and that we are all different individuals sharing our individual journeys, because it's important for people to see that it's not a stereotype. Like, things that you see don't always tell the whole story. So I'm grateful that you guys are sharing your side of your story, and it makes it more of a 360-degree full picture. Blake and Molly, how about you guys about breaking stigma on your channel?
I just want to something that Molly Burke said resonated with me and with the work that we do about just helping some people feel seen. You're not speaking for a whole community, but showing that, she wasn't seeing herself in media, so she made herself in media. And we did one of our virtual readings was a live lab called Gargola, which takes place in Puerto Rico, and we had all Puerto Rican actors, some of who were literally doing it from Puerto Rico, which was awesome. And the chat was full of people from that community being like, oh my God, I got told this scary story when I was young, or did you get told this one? Or, oh my God, I remember my mom used to be terrified of the gargoyle, and just like feeling like we had created this space for that community on our channel, and kind of just holding that space for them. I think that is something that we've been able to do, especially during the pandemic, because that community found out about that reading, and they all came together to watch it together from all over the world, with actors in Puerto Rico and here and all over the world doing it together. So I think that really resonated with me when Molly was talking about, it's not about talking to a whole community, it's making some people feel seen and giving them the space.
So you guys, what are some ways you've used YouTube over the past year that'll continue to influence the way you're going to use YouTube in the years to come? So Kim, I'm curious about your strategy.
Recently, we launched an equity crowdfund where we're allowing our customers to literally invest and own shares in the business at this stage of funding, so at our C+ round. And I wanted to be able to answer, I literally have like maybe thousands of questions on my WeFunder page. It's wefunder.com/CurlMix, but there are thousands of questions. And it's like, okay, how can I address everyone? There are multiple platforms, but it's like, I can make a YouTube video and go live and let people ask me questions in real time, and then post that YouTube video on the WeFunder page so that people have like live investor Q&A. So I get to answer their questions in real time. And I think that was tremendous in not only being able to help us raise funding, but also just to be able to answer questions for people who had already invested. And so I plan to continue to do more investor updates for my business via YouTube, and then sharing them with the 8,000 people who invested in our campaign. We'll definitely do more of that, and also on the creative side. So I mentioned the natural hair mist video that did really, really well for us. We're gonna do more Mythbuster videos, this year. We're also gonna create some more editorial content that's just for fun. So we might do a video on the 5 types of natural hairstylists you might have. So basically, a stylist might be different every time you go to one. One is more so like, so girl, how's your weekend? Then there's another one who like doesn't want to talk at all, so we're going to do lots of different things on YouTube as we invest in it this year.
Awesome. And Blake and Molly, how about you guys?
We're in the process. I mean, we've used YouTube previously, prior to the pandemic, to create some content. And as I said, with our gala videos, performance videos that we would capture, that was a really significant thing and helped us build up our YouTube subscriber base. And but I don't know that we could say that we used it as another aspect of programming in a way that we're really digging into now. Molly's in the marketing department, but we're not just using them from the YouTube from the marketing realm. Our artistic department is working with some of our playwrights for next season when we come back live and in person to create content that is in conversation with the actual piece that's on the stage. And sure, it can work as a marketing tool for that production, but it also, if you are somebody who lives elsewhere and are not going to be able to come to New York and come to our space, it can be an experience in and of itself, and it will live on our YouTube channel. And that's something that we actually have not, surprisingly, and I feel a little foolish in retrospect that we hadn't really leaned into that before this, but that's an area that we, I think, are really excited about. And do you have anything else that I'm missing?
Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot.
There's a lot coming up, and I think the biggest thing is as we're looking at what comes next is not abandoning this community that we've built and continuing to work with them and to talk to them. And I think there's, especially in New York theater, there's an instinct to just like snap back to normal. It's like, we're coming back and we're going to do it the same way we did before. And that's, our mission doesn't jive with that. Our mission is to provoke conversation. So we have to keep having those conversations online.
Well, and that's really the magic of YouTube. You can be open 24 hours a day, be from anywhere in the world. And it's been amazing. Like for me, I started out as a local Pilates instructor, and now people can take my classes online, like literally at any time, and all for free as well. So YouTube is just amazing. Molly, I'm curious about you. What does the future of YouTube look like for you?
I think the biggest thing that I maybe changed is doing virtual collaborations. Previous to that, every time I collaborated with another creator, it was always in person, which can be tricky. I mean, sometimes you're literally flying to another country or another city just to create a video. And I think that this showed us that we can all be more creative in finding virtual ways to do pretty much everything. And so that's meant I've been able to collaborate with some people in, London, England, who I've wanted to work with for years, but that's a big haul from Los Angeles. So it's been really fun in that way, and that's definitely something I'm going to keep up, is saying, like, I can really collab with anybody. It doesn't matter if they live near me or not, or if I'm going to be in their city or not. If I have a great video idea, I shouldn't let distance stop me from creating that content and reaching out to that creator.
Yeah, I feel like one of the silver linings of last year in the pandemic was the realization that we can still grow and be impactful without, being in physical touch with people. Like for our business, we were able to continue to hire, increase our employee base, and actually be more efficient than when we were meeting each other in real life. It was kind of crazy, but I really do appreciate all the things that I learned over the past year. So guys, what can we expect next from everyone? Molly, why don't you start? Let us know what's up, what's coming new for you.
Just the usual 2 YouTube videos a week, content everywhere on every platform at all times, the usual.
Awesome. Kim, how about you?
I am excited about closing this round of funding. We hit the $5 million mark yesterday, so that was like a big deal for us. I'm super excited. And next I'm going to be investing this money and helping the brand take off. So that's what I'm excited about.
Well, in the immediate, we are actually using YouTube to introduce a new musical to audience members, a musical that we're going to be producing next season live on stage, but we're putting excerpts of it. We've filmed excerpts of it with high production value, made a little kind of short feature that on June 28th will be available on our YouTube channel. And that's part of what we were talking about, of having a relationship between the live and the content that we're creating for YouTube when we come back. And that's a big thing. We'll be back live and in person next fall. And we'll have this relationship, as I said, on our YouTube channel with subscribers.
Yeah, we're so excited for Base Dogs is the name of the musical. It'll be June 28th, streaming free on YouTube. And I think
important.
it gives it gives us a chance to take the musical development process, which is usually done kind of behind closed doors with only certain people, and really open it up to the world and let people see it before it's done. Let people see this moment in time, and then come back and see it when it's fully done. And I'm excited to be back in the theater. I haven't been back in here in over a year, and it's just really excited to come back and keep bringing it to the world.
Oh, I love that you're sharing the entire journey, because it makes launch day that much more exciting for everyone else because they feel invested in the process. So I'm so glad you're doing that. Thank you to Blake and Molly from MCC Theater, creator and educator Molly Burke, and Kim Lewis, CEO of CurlMix, for lending their voices to this important conversation. I think we've all learned today that resilience is a muscle we need to continue to exercise. We hope you at home have been inspired by the story of resilience told here today. You can continue to follow MCC Theater, Molly Burke, and CurlMix's journeys on YouTube. I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Visit the Google Small Business YouTube channel for other inspiring panels, workshops, and helpful resources that can help you get started on YouTube.